how to stand on your own and break free from this toxic system. Have you ever had that feeling of being stuck in the same place, as if you're walking in circles, trapped in the same mistakes, the same habits, not knowing how to change? It's frustrating, isn't it? With each passing day, it feels like a part of you is drifting further away from the person you'd like to be. And the worst part, you look at yourself and no longer recognize who you are. It's as if something inside you is locked up. Your mind, once full of ideas and energy, now operates on autopilot. Hours pass, days stack up, and that desire to do things differently gets suffocated by a routine that leads nowhere. But you know what's the scariest part of all this? This disconnection from your essence doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow, almost imperceptible process. First, you set a dream aside, then an important goal, and before you know it, life has become a series of later. But I want to ask you a question. What if today was the day to change? Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. What if this was the moment for you to look inward, to see this feeling of being stuck as a sign that it's time to reconnect with what truly matters? You're not alone on this journey. This frustration is an invitation to break free from autopilot and take back control, because deep down, you know you deserve more. More than repeating mistakes, more than just surviving the days. You deserve to live with purpose, with energy, with the desire to be your best version. So I ask you, what will your next step be? Let's discover together how to unlock all this and move forward, one step at a time, toward the life you've always desired. Because you can, and you deserve it. So are you ready to start? But do you know what might be behind this feeling of being stuck? Often, we don't even realize how we're shaped by the environment around us. It seems like we're in control, but are we really? In the midst of this frenetic routine, have you ever stopped to think about the role technology and comfort play in how we live, think, and act? 1. The impact of technology and comfort on human behavior. Today, we live in a world where everything is just a click away. Food, entertainment, information. Everything is ready, pre-packaged, waiting to be consumed. It sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But the truth is, this ease comes at a price. Technology and comfort have created a standard. We want everything fast, easy, and preferably effortless. Remember when reading an entire book or watching a long movie was something enjoyable? Now just open an app and watch a summary. Why spend hours immersed in something when in a few minutes you can understand the essentials? This instant mentality transforms us. Gradually, we lose patience for things that require time and dedication. Our ability to focus diminishes. And the worst part, we start to believe that effort isn't worth it. But here's the point few notice. It's the effort that transforms us. It's the process, the time invested, the learning achieved that makes us grow. When we surrender to this constant search for the easiest path, the summary of the experience, we set aside what really matters, the development of our minds, our resilience, and our ability to see beyond. And that's when autopilot takes over. We get used to being mere receivers, letting technology decide for us what to watch, what to read, and even how to feel. Unknowingly, we hand over control of our attention to algorithms that don't care about our growth, but about how much they can keep us distracted. So I ask you, do you want to keep living like this on the surface, or are you willing to slow down and regain control over how you use your time, your mind, and your energy? Because in the end, comfort is only useful when it gives us the foundation to go beyond, not to stagnate. And now, the choice is yours. Continue in your comfort zone or challenge yourself to think, feel, and act differently. After all, that's where true transformation begins. So will you challenge yourself or stay in your comfort zone? Leave your answer in the comments. And here's the irony: the more we settle into comfort, the less prepared we are to face the unexpected. Life isn't just about ease, and when challenges arise, they're what test us, what reveal who we truly are. To understand this better, let me tell you a story that might change the way you view your own journey. 2. The analogy of the bird that doesn't know how to fly. Imagine a small bird in its nest. Since birth, it has everything it needs. The mother always brings food, ready, pre-chewed, and all it needs to do is open its beak. It never had to worry about foraging, facing the wind, or spreading its wings. After all, why exert effort when comfort is always within reach? But the inevitable day comes when the mother bird pushes it out of the nest. She knows that to survive, it needs to learn to fly. Only accustomed to dependence, it doesn't know what to do. Its wings aren't strong, its instinct is weakened. And what happens? It falls. This story might seem distant, but in reality, it reflects much of what we live. Excessive comfort turns us into spectators of our own lives. We get comfortable, accepting the minimum, until one day we're confronted by a situation that demands strength, courage, and skill, the qualities we didn't have the chance to develop. And what happens when the fall comes? For many, it's the shock of realizing the world isn't as accommodating as it seemed. Unprepared, without skills, without resilience, we're at the mercy of circumstances. And all this because we stop challenging ourselves, stopping strengthening ourselves, stopping preparing for the difficult moments that inevitably arrive. But here's the good news. You don't have to wait to be pushed to start flapping your wings. It might be uncomfortable at first, but every effort, every challenge faced strengthens you. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And when the time to fly comes, you'll be ready. So, the question is, will you continue to stay comfortable in the nest, or will you spread your wings and face the wind? Because in the end, there's nothing more liberating than discovering that you're capable of flying. And as you reflect on spreading your wings and leaving the nest, it's important to understand that the challenges we face don't come only from within us. There's something bigger, something external, that works tirelessly to keep us stuck. Too comfortable to react, but restless enough to keep consuming. Let's talk about that. 3. The system and the illusions created for control. Have you ever wondered why so often we feel dissatisfied, even when we have everything we need? It's no coincidence. The world we live in has been shaped to keep us in this state, comfortable enough not to question, but dependent enough to keep consuming. Think about what you see around you. Consumerism is a perfectly tuned machine for creating illusions. You need one more product, one more service, one more novelty. The promise is always the same. This will make you happy, it will fill the void, it will solve the problem. And you know what the truth is? That never happens, because the happiness sold is temporary and the cycle starts over, and it doesn't stop there. Look at the healthcare industry, for example. Isn't it curious that instead of promoting a healthy life, it often profits from our illness? Medications for anxiety, depression, insomnia, all sold as a magic solution to problems. But often these problems are the result of the very lifestyle the system imposes on us. Overwork, emotional disconnection, poor nutrition. And you know what's cruelest about all this? When you're no longer useful, the system discards you. It has no interest in your well-being, only in what it can extract from you while you consume and produce. It's like a machine that feeds on your energy, your time, and often your health. But here's the reality they don't want you to know. You have the power to break free from this gear. It starts when you begin to question, why do I need this? What am I gaining with this habit? Am I really in control of my choices, or am I just following what I'm told to do? The system only works as long as you're on autopilot. When you wake up, when you start seeing illusions for what they really are, it loses its power. And at that moment, you begin to regain control of your life. So now it's up to you. Will you continue being a cog in the machine, or will you start dismantling this system? Let's explore the next steps together to build a freer and truer path. And if we stop to think about it, much of what the system imposes directly affects our mental health. It creates problems, sells temporary solutions, and makes us believe there's no other way out. But is all this emotional and psychological burden really inevitable, or is there something we can do to take back the reins? 4. Emotional and psychological problems. Reality or illusion? We live in an era where words like anxiety and depression are part of our daily vocabulary. It's as if suddenly everyone is carrying a diagnosis or seeking the next magic solution to handle the weight of modern life. But are all these problems as complex as they make us believe? First and foremost, let's make something clear. Emotional and psychological issues are real, and no one should ignore or treat them lightly. However, it's also true that in many cases, these conditions can be a direct result of everyday habits that we come to see as normal. Think about it. How many hours a day do you spend connected to social media, comparing your life to others? How much of your time is dedicated to truly resting without notifications or worries? And how often do you skip going outdoors, exercising, or simply disconnecting from the frenetic pace of daily life? Now imagine how simple changes in these habits could make a difference. A walk outside, moments of silence to reflect, or even a genuine conversation with someone close. Small adjustments that, when combined, can alleviate much of the pressure we feel. The problem is that the system prefers us not to see this. It's more profitable to sell you a pill, a quick fix, than to encourage you to seek balance in your routine. And so we drift away from simple yet powerful actions that could bring us more peace and clarity. Of course, there are cases where medical help is necessary and indispensable. But shouldn't we, before seeking external solutions, look inward and at our own choices? What are we feeding our minds and bodies every day? Isn't there something we can change now to start improving? So, here's the invitation. Pay attention to your habits. Evaluate what you consume, what influences you, what disrupts your balance. Perhaps the key to a lighter emotional life lies in changing small things around you, starting with yourself. Let's discover together how these small steps can transform your reality, because in the end, you deserve much more than just surviving the days. You deserve to live fully. And it's precisely when we start observing our choices, our habits, that we realize something essential. It's not enough to just escape autopilot. We need to take the reins and decide where we're going. This brings us to the crucial point of our journey: self-development. 5. The need for self-development. If you look around, you'll see that many people live by following the flow. They do what everyone else does, live like everyone else lives, and in the end, they end up feeling the same frustration most people feel. But is that what you want for yourself? Self-development is not a luxury or something reserved for a few. It's a basic necessity for anyone who wants to grow, move forward, and achieve something greater. But to do that, you need to start with a simple yet powerful question. Where do you want to go? Without a clear objective, life becomes a repetition of purposeless days. That's why the first step is to set goals. They don't need to be grandiose, just real and achievable. It can be as simple as starting a new habit, abandoning something that harms you, or even dedicating 10 minutes a day to think about what you truly want. But it's not enough to just set goals. You need to commit to them. You know that old habit of postponing, waiting for the perfect time. It needs to go. Progress begins when you take the first step, even if it seems small. And believe me, every effort counts. And there's more. To grow, you need to be willing to question yourself. What behaviors do you repeat without even noticing? What do you do just because everyone around you does it? These are the invisible chains that bind you, and breaking them is what frees you to create something new, something uniquely yours. Self-development is not about being perfect. It's about being in motion, in constant evolution. It's about stopping to accept less than you deserve and starting to build the life you desire. So I ask you, what will be the first step of your transformation? Because life is too short to follow the herd and not be who you truly can be. Let's discover together how to make this path clearer and achieve everything you know you're capable of conquering. And when you start walking the path of self-development, something curious happens. You reconnect with who you truly are. But for many people, this connection has been lost for a long time, and they might not even realize it. Let's talk about how conformity can erase your identity and leave a difficult-to-fill void. 6. Lost identity and the dangers of conformity. Have you ever felt that sometimes life feels like an endless routine? The same schedules, the same places, the same conversations. Everything so alike that you almost forget you're a unique person with your own thoughts and dreams. It's not a coincidence. It's the result of an automated life where we follow what's easiest, what's most common, what everyone does. The problem is that the more you adapt to what others expect, the more you drift away from who you truly are. It's as if your essence is being erased little by little until one day you look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person staring back at you. And you know what's more dangerous? Conformity makes us believe this is normal. You start settling for less, accepting a life without sparkle, because that's what everyone around you seems to do as well. But deep down, a part of you knows this isn't enough. It's that restlessness that comes up now and then, that feeling that something is missing. Losing your identity is like living in someone else's body, following patterns that weren't made for you. And this explains why so many people live dissatisfied, not knowing exactly why. They don't belong to the life they're living. But here's the truth, you don't have to live like this. Recovering your identity starts with small choices. It begins when you stop worrying so much about what others think and start asking yourself, what do I really want? It's not easy, and often the world will try to pull you back into the comfort zone. But every step you take toward your true essence is a victory. And little by little, you'll rediscover what makes you happy, what motivates you, what gives meaning to your life. So, I invite you to take a pause right now. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I living the life I want or just following what's expected? Because your identity is what makes you unique. Don't let conformity erase that. Let's explore together how to reclaim this connection with yourself and build a life that truly makes sense. Reconnecting with who you are and breaking free from conformity is a powerful step, but that's not enough. Knowing who you want to be means nothing if you don't act. This is where the crucial point comes in, the urgency to make decisions and turn intentions into actions. 7. The urgency to make decisions and act. How many times have you had an idea or knew exactly what you needed to do, but put it off? And when you look back, you realize that days had turned into weeks, weeks into months, and what could have changed your life was still stagnant, waiting for you. Procrastination is silent but relentless. Every time you delay a decision, every time you fail to act, something important happens. You slow down your progress and, more seriously, weaken your self-confidence. Because deep down, it's not just about wasting time. It's about the message you send to yourself every time you choose not to act. It's like saying, I'm not capable, I don't deserve it, I don't trust myself. And these words, even if never spoken out loud, have a profound impact. But here's the truth. Change doesn't happen with grand gestures or promises. It starts with a decision, a step, a movement, no matter how small. The urgency to act doesn't mean doing everything at once, but rather starting now, while the flame of motivation is still burning. Remember, time waits for no one. The more you delay, the further you drift from what you wish to achieve. With each choice you postpone, life continues, but control slips from your hands. So I ask you, what are you waiting for? What is that decision you already know you need to make, but haven't yet? What can you do today, right now, to move closer to the future you desire? Acting is scary, but you know what's even scarier. Looking back a year from now and realizing you're exactly where you are today. Don't let that happen. Take the first step. Trust yourself, because the only real moment you have is now. Making decisions and acting is essential, but how do you ensure that these actions lead you down the right path? This is where something as powerful as action comes into play, the habit of questioning yourself. Because without reflection, even movement can take us to places we don't want to be. 8. The role of daily questioning. Have you ever stopped to think about how much of our days we spend on autopilot, doing things we don't even know if they still make sense? We repeat habits, follow routines, make decisions based on old patterns, without ever stopping to ask, why am I doing this? Does it really help me get where I want to go? Daily questioning is like a lighthouse in the fog. It illuminates the paths we're taking and helps us realize whether we're moving forward or just going in circles. Without it, we risk getting lost, trapped in illusions, mistakes, and choices that deep down don't reflect who we truly are. Asking yourself questions isn't just an act of reflection, it's a way to take control. When you question your habits, you start to identify what strengthens you and what weakens you. When you evaluate your failures, you learn from them instead of letting them define you. And when you confront illusions, you begin to see life with more clarity and purpose. But here's the secret. This process needs to be daily. It's no use questioning yourself only when things go wrong. The practice of self-evaluation needs to be constant, an honest and regular conversation with yourself. Ask yourself, am I happy with how I spend my time? Do the habits I cultivate bring me closer to or push me away from my goals? Am I making decisions that I'm proud of? These questions might be uncomfortable at first, but they are what lay the foundation for growth. Because we can only correct what we recognize, and we can only evolve when we are willing to look inward with courage and honesty. So, I challenge you. Today, before going to bed, take a few minutes to reflect. Ask yourself what you did, what you didn't do, what you could improve, and more importantly, use those answers as fuel to move forward tomorrow, because questioning isn't a sign of doubt, but of strength. It's what separates those who live on autopilot from those who decide to create a life with purpose. After everything we've discussed, from recognizing your patterns, making decisions, to questioning yourself daily, one thing becomes clear. Change only happens when you decide to act. And the best part, you're not alone on this journey, and the time has come to take the next step. You already have the tools, the questions, and the reflections you need to start transforming your life. All that's missing now is the commitment to do it for yourself. Don't be fooled. Change doesn't happen in one big leap. It's built every day with small decisions that together create a massive impact. Decisions like disconnecting from autopilot, choosing new habits, prioritizing what matters, and above all, not waiting any longer to start. And if at any point you feel unmotivated or lost, remember this. You have immense potential, but it will only be unlocked if you step out of your comfort zone. It's discomfort that moves us, that challenges us, that makes us grow. So, here's the invitation. Today is the day to act. Don't let the ideas and insights from this message stay only in your mind. Put them into practice. Choose one thing, just one, that you can change today, right now. Start small, but start. And if this message resonated with you, if it made you reflect, share it with someone who also needs to hear this. Together, we can create a network of transformation. helping each other step out of autopilot and build a life with more purpose and meaning. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you continue receiving content that motivates you, inspires you, and challenges you to be better each day. A simple click can make a big difference because every step, no matter how small it seems, brings us closer to what we truly want to achieve. Thank you so much for being here and for dedicating this time to yourself. Remember, you have everything you need to start now. The question is, are you ready to say yes to your transformation? Let's embark on this journey together. See you next time.